Certainly haven't lost it at all. Way to go. So in our center, it's difficult to, pick out somebody that's the elder because it's kind of the nature of our congregation here. But someone who was here before I arrived here, so I call her my elder. Someone who welcomed me into the center when I arrived here, someone that I know that has known Virginia for some time, and also Jim, and has brought some great love and joy into their experience, and has been our assistant minister here, and is now in that place of some kind of retirement type thing. But I'd like you to welcome Reverend Beverly.
Good morning, or good afternoon by now, or morning, still morning. Well, I wanted to start with a prayer, and if you'd like to join me, this is the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Knowing Virginia has been really, all of us are here by the divine appointment of love and our heart connection with her and Jim. And I met her when Reverend Matt was still the minister at the center. And then our friendship, we prayed quite a bit at different times. And the last 4 weeks of last year, we had a class on poetry, and it was about Rumi. So Jim and Virginia and Pam and Kelly Hazen and Jazz was my tech assistant, and Marcia. I think I have everybody that was in the class. We had it on the afternoon. Well, it was a 4-week class, but it kind of overflowed into 5 weeks, and we meditated, we did affirmations, we danced, we prayed, and we had a great celebration as if Rumi was there. We had all the different foods and delicacies that they would have served when Rumi was alive. And then out of this class, what was really an inspiration of Rumi, each one of us wrote a Rumi poem, and we have a few copies in the bookstore. I'd like to read what Virginia wrote. Each one of us took on the first name of Rumi, and she wrote, "Beauty is the seeing that is revealed when you are being the truth. Now behold." Rumi, Virginia. And each one of us contributed to this. But it was such a love fest, and we hated for the class to end. And I know Jim and Virginia taught me so much about love and a partnership during that time that we shared together. And most of the class, I think we had a new appreciation for love because the title of the class was Rumi, Walking the Inner Path of Love. So today, I think we're all here by divine appointment, and we are on that inner path of love together. And thank you.
So Virginia has traveled far and wide, and one of the centers in which she was quite active was in San Jose, and there she knew Dr. Tupper quite well, and now David Bruner, who is there, and some of these flowers are from the San Jose Center. And so they just wanted to acknowledge that Virginia really was important to the building of their practitioner corps and their essence and what they are. And she has traveled in a number of different places, and so it seems that one of the places that she has made contact with was in the North Hollywood Center. And so here today to speak a little bit about that is the minister, Reverend James Mellon from North Hollywood.
Hi. First of all, thank you for allowing me to come here today. About 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and it was quite a shock. I mean, I'm a very healthy guy, and I thought, what an interesting dilemma. And it was stage 4 cancer, and I was given some pretty dire circumstances, and so I did what I had to do. And between 2010 and 2011, I spent a year in, I won't even call it recovery, but reclaiming a lot of my life. And by the summer of 2011, I was feeling pretty good. So I was at Asilomar, and I was the final speaker at Asilomar that summer. And I finished my talk, and I suppose I said something about cancer that day. And as I went to eat, a woman came up to me, this beautiful woman, and she leaned over at my table, and I was sitting there with my children, and she said, "We have something in common, and I'd like to talk to you about it." And I said, "Okay." So after I finished eating, she dragged me out of the dining hall and took me to a little pasture out there and sat me down. And she said, "We're both going through the same thing." And I said, "Okay." And so she asked me if I could talk to her about my experience and help her. And I said I certainly would. And so we had our first session together. And then we had a number of sessions on the phone. And I come out to Palm Springs all the time with my family because we just love it here and we're planning on retiring here. In fact, we were looking for a house this week. So, I know, isn't that good? Don't tell them in North Hollywood that, but that's what my plans are. So, when I came out that Christmas, Virginia had called me and asked me if she could come meet with me again in person. And I said, certainly. So I was at Desert Willow at my timeshare, and she came out, and we spent a couple of hours in the rec room of Desert Willow. And what happened that day during those 2 hours was pretty life-transforming for me, because I thought I was going there to help her. But before long, it was very clear that she was ministering to me. And she was telling me all of her truths and her beliefs and her faith. At the same time telling me she was having a crisis of faith. And what I sat there watching was not a woman who was having a crisis of faith, but a woman who was just looking at a crisis of faith and telling it the truth. And when she finished talking, which I thought I would be doing the talking, but I was just listening. When she finished talking, I said to her, I said, "You do realize that there's absolutely nothing for me to say to you." I said, "There's a reason why you are practitioner emeritus." I said, "Because you know everything there is to know. You know absolutely everything there is to know." And the most important part of that meeting was that she made it very clear to me that none of us are ever really afraid of dying. It's not the death that is the issue. It's who we leave behind. And she said, she said, "I'm ready." She told me this over a year and a half ago. Almost 2 years ago now. "I am ready. I'm ready to move on to whatever this next adventure is." But of course, she said, Jim isn't ready for me to make that journey. She said, so I'm here to ask you to help me stay here as long as I can for everyone I love. So I thought it was important I'm teaching a book right now called The Exquisite Risk, and it's all about don't stop the flow. So I will just keep talking and let this flow. I thought it was important to come here and tell you that